Welcome to Sable BooKnight, an independent publishing company located in Canada, offering author services and accepting submissions for anthologies. Visit sablebooknight.ca for more information, and BooKnight shares the K. Here are your hosts, Tanya and Story Tyrant. Hello there, and welcome to the Sable BooKnight podcast. My name is Tanya.
And I'm Story Tyrant.
And today we are talking about writing habits. But first, let's start with a little update. So what are you working on right now?
A couple projects. A mystery and a editing and a couple other things.
Nice. I am working on, so we got the Portals book cover is almost ready. And for my personal project, Red River Man cover is in the final stages. And otherwise, my focus has been on getting pricing for the print copies of the Portals anthology and do some comparisons and stuff. So I haven't had a lot of time to actually write, but today we're talking about writing habits. So what do your writing habits look like, Tyra?
Right now, my writing habits need a kick in the pants. Normally, I'm a AM writer. I usually wake up around between 5 and 7. And I tend to... I used to go for a walk with my dog, but I don't have my dog anymore, she didn't pass. She's living with her people, my son, which technically she was my son's dog. Though when I got her, she was supposed to be my dog. But, yeah, they didn't want a dog, and yet she's my son's dog who didn't want the dog. He says, I'm not ready for a dog. I said, okay, it's my dog. Don't worry about it. So, the way of it. So I don't do that walk anymore. And then I try to write. Normally, for years, I would write then in the morning because my husband, he goes to work 50% of the time. He works 50% of the time from home, 50% of the time. And so I'm 50% of the time, 50% of the time, I am home alone, which is great for me. I like to write in both a quiet and noisy environment.
I like that. And do you set up yourself with like a specific drink or snacks or anything like that when you write?
Today's writing session is brought to you by Yorkshire Gold. They are
I
not a
like that.
sponsor, but I'm still gonna keep drinking the tea, but I'd love for them to be a sponsor.
Yeah, okay, so for me, I have set days of the week now, so between Tuesday and Friday, I just make a point of setting aside time to write while everybody's out. The boys are in school, my husband works full time, so I try to make a point of making some time during the week, during the day, to write. I write in my new office, so I can close the door if need be. I do write in the quiet. Sometimes I play a little bit of instrumental music with no vocals just for inspiration to get myself in that mindset. So, like if I'm writing fantasy, I have this YouTube playlist that I listen to that's all fantasy themed music. I always make sure I have a ton of water on hand. And if it's first thing in the morning, which sometimes I'm up for writing in the morning, then I'll have a tea. But I do like my snacks. I'm really bad for liking my snacks. I think it's like an anxiety thing, that crunch, 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 you know. But yeah, otherwise, I usually have like a priority list set and I kind of tackle one project at a time. But sometimes I jump ship when the inspiration strikes to work on a specific project. If I have an idea, because sometimes those moments, well, you just don't want to miss those moments. So then I jump ship and go on to whatever project I feel like writing.
I'm a butterfly when it comes to what I'm working on because I almost want to say I get bored or I get over anxious on a single project. Does that make sense? I
It
mean,
does. Yeah.
Everyone has to do what works for them, whatever releases their ability to be creative, right? Some people light a candle, some people have a whole routine before they sit down and write. Um, I have found that people who have a routine, and this has only been those in my experience, this is not everyone, that when they do this little routine, sit down, and then they write. So they've already done all their pre-thinking, they've done all their pre-setup in their mind, and that is when they sit down, they do a little routine to start, then they're writing. Like that's it, they're writing. And I will often, in the quiet, when I'm at home like this and I want it quiet, um, I will do some pre-writing. I'll get up and I'll go do laundry or dishes, or I'll go outside and go for a quick walk or check my chickies. And I'm doing pre-work there, prepping in my head what I'm going to work on. Come and sit down, and 90% of the time, that's exactly what I then work on. But 10% of the time, I sit down and go, oh, okay, I'm not working on that today. I'm working on this.
Wow, I like that. Yeah, I don't think like I'm not one to set a specific time and say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start at 10 a.m. and sit down and write. I can't do that.
Mhm.
My situation's a little bit different though. Most of it is because of medical conditions and schedule with the kids. And sometimes things get thrown up in the air. You can make all the plans you want, but I find the more I schedule, the more plans I make, the harder I am on myself for it not working the way I wanted. So I wing it in all things in life.
Yes, if I've had a bad night, it doesn't matter what I've planned the next day, it's usually out the window. And, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
If, though there have been times when I have woken up at 11 o'clock or midnight, I've gone to bed at 10 or 11, and I've woken up at midnight and I am not going back to sleep. I lay there for an hour, just until you start to get that headache and your whole body starts to ache because you have to get up. And then I get up, and then I usually write something or edit. Um, that and that is obviously a quiet edit. That's not a noisy edit. And when I say noisy edit, sometimes I like to go to a local hangout we have, a little restaurant there, Smitty's, or yeah, mostly it's Smitty's. Sit in that corner table, and I need the hustle and bustle. I mean, Smitty's is never super loud, but I need that hustle and bustle removed, but there. And then if that's the case, and I go there, and there's no one else coming to talk to me, I will write like crazy. I will write like
Wow.
crazy.
That's awesome.
And yeah, but I don't know why. Like, I don't know what changes. Like, I would say 60% of the time when I'm writing at home, nothing, dead quiet. But 40% of the time, it's music. And it's not, there's prep music, which is music with words, right? And it's very specific prep music. If I want to work on a scene or I want to work on a specific, I almost have like playlists for characters. But the rest of the time, it's like you say, for me, it's like classical music. It's like dramatic, big classical. Especially if I'm working on specific types of scenes, I want that, you know, I want this classical thunder style of music in the background playing.
Yeah, I like that too. I think I found that really helped with the fantasy writing, like listening to, for example, the Lord of the Rings soundtrack
Hmm.
or, some great fantasy music. Another one that I found was really good for fantasy writing. It was the Star Trek soundtrack, like one of the newer movies. There's some
Okay.
really great music soundtracks on there. And yeah, I find that really helped. I've tried crime music. It's really hard to find the right music to write crime thrillers with. It's kind of like a da da no, but I'm working on that one.
That's one thing I've never found for either horror or crime is I can't seem to have music on for either, which doesn't make any sense to me. You'd think even if some spooky sounds in the background would, you get you going, but nope, nope, not for
Yeah,
me.
I don't know why that is. I don't know why either. Like, I found it really hard to find something that worked for me. But fantasy's really easy to find some good fantasy soundtracks out there that can help you get into the world of whatever fantasy you're writing.
Well, the first thing you want to do when you're establishing your habits is figure out what actually works for you, what actually lets you put button seat, fingers on keypad, or with pen, however it is you write. Figure out what works for you to get words down. That frees your thinking, that frees your imagination, and also that allows you to take your editor and critic and put them away in a box somewhere and leave them out of the experience. Editing is a different animal altogether. But when you're actually writing, what allows you to have that freedom? And if you can't answer that, you can't establish a habit. And like we're talking about writing habits for productivity, you also have to define what is productivity for you. Like I listen to some people on the internet and people in writers groups in the past, and they talk about, oh, I want to do a novel every 3 months. Whoa, okay. Other people turn around and say, oh, if I can just get a chapter done a month, I'm so happy. I'm like, okay. But it's, again, to each person, what do you define as productivity? What are the habits for you that allow you to write? And can you build, or how do you build for yourself? How will you build your writing habits to be productive in your definition? So, for instance, I would like to complete these are already mostly written. I want to complete 2 novels this year. Lake Effect, which is a science fiction thriller, and I want to complete. And I was looking at it. I have several chapters written. I have the whole thing outlined. We were discussing this. Sweet Scent of Morning. I want to get that one complete. And I thought I should pull Bitter from the title. I felt bitter as more taste, and this is a smell one. So I thought Sweet Scent of Morning should be
I like that.
better than Bittersweet Scent of Morning.
I was
I thought,
thinking that the other day. I don't know why I didn't voice that, but bittersweet is kind of a flavor or an emotion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I thought I'd pull that one. I have multiple shorts that just need editing. I've written them. They're sitting there. They're complete, and they've been waiting in my to be edited later when I have had enough distance between myself and them. Well, I think in the case one of them, it's like 7-8 years. Yeah, it's time to get
Yeah,
that one edited.
I think you're ready for that now.
I
Well,
think so.
I'm here if you need a reader to editor. Or...
Someone to kick me in the pants. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. We do that to each other. We tend to kick each other in the pants every once in a while and say, "Hey, get going on this. Hey, where are you at with that?" But you said.
Yes. Yes. So once you know, or once you have an idea of what you will define as productivity, and even if you're doing a page a day, half a page a day, quarter of a page a day, you're still completing a novel in a year, or a little bit more or a little bit less. Like, depending on the novel, you're completing it. If you're writing a bunch of short stories, I don't know why people have this attitude that short stories are not real writing. They are. You can write you can write short stories, you can write long short stories, novellas, novelettes, novels. All these things count, and they're all writing.
Mhm.
And they don't have to be in the same genre either. Like, I am a person who jumps from genre to genre, always genre. Uh, but I know some people stay in the same genre all the time, which I think is amazing. Like, I'm always amazed by that. And they get stuff written in those genres. They have beautiful bodies of work in there because they stay focused.
I don't know how
Um,
people do that. I'm always hopping genres. Like
yeah,
you know.
I always wondered if I was a bad example, because I was actually told I was a bad example in our class because I was always jumping genres and I was telling people it was okay. And I said to the gentleman, I said, but if that's how you write, that's how you write. He says, yeah, but you give people permission to do that. I said, no, no, if that's how they write, that's how they write.
I do agree with you, and maybe that's because I've learned from you. But
He's right.
but
He is right.
I think that one of the most important things as a writer is to stay true to yourself and where your passion takes you. So if that means jumping from fiction to nonfiction to steamy romance to sci-fi action, like just do it. Go where you want to go. It's all about how you market yourself and whether you keep, a separate pen name for each genre or um, that's actually the most common way of doing it. I know very few authors who have made it big who stick with one published name and do very well for themselves and make a living off their writing. Most authors who have done that I've heard, like on podcast interviews and so on, say that one of their biggest mistakes that they made in their career was putting all of their various genres under the exact same author name. Um, and there's different reasons for that. It's basically like keeping everything sorted. Like if you have a pile of different colored bows, you're not going to put them all in the same bag. You separate them into various bags so it's easier to find the bow color that you're looking for. Now, bows is probably a bad example for this, but that's what I chose, and so that's what I'm going with. But yeah, when readers are looking for a romantasy, they are not likely to also read their crime thrillers unless they really enjoy your writing style and enjoy reading both styles of writing. But not everybody reads multiple genres. A lot of readers tend to stick with one genre, so authors find it better for readers if they have certain pen names for certain genres if you're a genre writer. I'm on the fence with that because there is a huge amount of effort that goes into marketing any author name. And the more pen names you have, the harder it is for your readers or for yourself to market and stay on top of everything, like multiple websites, multiple Facebook pages. It does create a lot more work. So I know for me, I have two names. Technically, I have three, but we won't talk about the third.
Okay.
So Tanya Stephenson, I have published crime, thriller, mysteries. I've done romance. I've done nonfiction, but the fantasy, the high fantasy slash high fantasy with a romantic subplot is a completely separate name. And I think that makes sense for me. What are your thoughts?
Well, I decided years ago. Well, first off, the big joke was when I married my husband, I was marrying him for his last name, for marketing purposes. Everyone joked about that. His last name being Heinrichs, and because I do sci-fi, and I also do space opera, and Heinrichs would put you right next to Heinlein on the shelves in a bookstore. That was the only reason I was marrying him.
I love it.
It was not true, but So I realized years ago, because I was a multi-genre author, that I would set up my webpage that way. So you would go to my webpage, there'd be a series of stories across the top that you could just click on and read, short stories. But you would find me, the plan was you would go into the webpage and you would find me there, and you could click on sci-fi, you could click on fantasy, you could click on information on current projects, on mysteries, on horror, so that it was all going to be there. And I'd also have my different pen names. So if, let's say you went to T.M. Heinrich's site because you like science fiction, you click on that, you go to the same website, you see the stories across the top, you see there's T.M. Heinrichs, that's science fiction, but hey, there's a T.L. Masters mysteries, there's Masters Heinrichs horror, there is well, I think that's what they were. There we go.
I think that was a smart way of doing it. And I think I don't know if I made the right decision with my choice in how I set up my website and that because there's a cost that goes into the website, right? So
Oh, yes.
I could only afford to do one website. And so when I created Sable BooKnight, that became the website for all of my publications. So there's a separate page for each author name.
Right.
And kind of similarly to how you have yours set up, only it's all under the Sable BooKnight website name. So I think that it's going to work once
I think
I,
so.
make it in the world of publishing.
My site still needs work. I had hired a lady, wonderful woman, and she's done a bunch of work on it. And I have not actually looked at it since the last update from her. So I really need to go in there and pop in. And as a as a self-publishing author, we are business people, which means we have a lot more on our desk than just creating the product to sell. We have the selling the product, we have advertising, we have all those other things stacked on top. So that is again part of the habits you should form as a good author is checking up on things. I am really bad there. Very bad, as you well know, of checking on things and making sure other things are going well. And I take too many other projects on for other people. Part of that is something I've always done, but part of it is because I'm trying to change how I do things now, where I'm staying more focused on myself. And I'm changing my habits. My husband's about to retire, so it's changing my habits for writing. I will probably do more morning writing, not less. And I'll probably add in afternoon writing more often. In the summertime, I tend to do afternoon writing instead of morning writing because in the morning is the garden, the yard, like everything else that needs to be done is
Definitely.
it's nice and cool. So you do it in the morning. And then I come in the afternoon when I've overheated and I'm hot, and maybe I've taken a dip in the creek, maybe not. Maybe I've just hosed myself down a few times, but I'm done. I come in and I'm done, and then I write for a few hours in the afternoon. Unless I'm overly done. If I've really cooked myself, then it's do not laugh. It's a nap, or it's like house stuff, like dishes, folding laundry, doing stuff like that. A mental nap. I don't know what to call that. It's just you just do the chores, but you don't really think. And then I will cool down, I will settle down, and then I will sit down and I'll write or edit. More editing, actually, when I've been overheated. If I have a nap and I wake up, I'm usually really refreshed. I do a quick supper that's nice and light, and then I'll write because it's like I've rejuvenated. This is only something in the last couple of years too, so I make a joke about that. I'm like, I've hit the age where I like a nap.
I like naps also, especially right now with our dog being blind officially. She's waking me up a lot at night. She gets lost in the house. She bangs into things. I can hear her walking in the rooms, on the floors, and sometimes she'll yelp if she gets stuck or she needs help or she wants to go out. So right now I feel like I have a newborn baby.
Yeah.
So naps are always welcome in the afternoons. But yeah, in terms of writing for me, I'm finding I don't have a set time, but I find the best time that's been working for me lately is starting around 9 o'clock with whatever author or writing business stuff I need to do. And that's during the week. And that's because by then my husband's at work, my kids are at school, there's no one around to interrupt me. Yeah, so then I find I just head down to the office and then I think, okay, what do I need to do today? So I try for media on Mondays, so making videos and recordings and stuff for the YouTube channel and podcast. And then, also, Sable BooKnight is officially on TikTok and
Wow.
has started releasing like book trailers, ads, so to speak.
Wow.
I did 3 videos yesterday for my Media Monday, and each of them have gotten over 90 views each already. So, I mean, I don't know how that translates in terms of volume of TikTok watchers, but I think that's pretty decent to start. I don't know. Um,
I think it's
yeah,
good.
and then, sorry?
I think it's good, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then Tuesday through Friday, yeah, it's after the kids are at school and everything is settled, then 9 a.m. if I'm feeling well enough, I go down to my office and start. Priority one has always got to be the health. So some days I wake
Yes.
up and I know there's no possible chance that I can actually write. So,
Mm.
but anyways, do you have any more tips for people on how to set up writing habits?
Well, as I said, my first question to you is how do you define productivity, of your own productivity, not someone else's? And number two, what are the what is the situation that allows you to write? Like, do you need quiet? Do you need noise? Do you need a combination? Does it change depending on the project? You need to define for yourself how you can establish a habit, a space, a location, and it could be a mental space. It can be a combination of mental space and physical space where you can be the most productive. And once you've done that, once you can figure out this is what I want to do this year, this is how I'm going to define my success this year and productively. Why? So maybe you say, I'm going to write 5 short stories and submit 3. Okay, that could be your thing this year. You don't know which 3 you're going to submit, but you're going to write 5 short stories, and maybe you define short stories as under 10,000 words. Maybe you define short stories between 10,000 and 30,000 words. It's however you choose to define it, but you must define it because you cannot judge whether or not you're succeeding if you have no defined goals, right? No goals, you can't say, oh, I've succeeded this today. Well, what did you do? Well, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know, but I'm sure I've succeeded. I'm here. I'm doing stuff. No, if you say to yourself, this week I want to have, by the end of the week, 500 words. And I used to do between 1,500 and 5,000 words a week, depending on the week, what was going on, what was happening. And I would have days of 2,000 words. I'm hoping that comes back now that I'm redefining my life back and prioritizing my writing. So don't give yourself goals you know you will not meet. All right? Write down your daily and weekly goals. I don't know if you have a week planner or a month planner or a on the wall planner or a desk planner, whatever, a thing you wipe off every day, but leave it there to the end of the day. And when you complete those goals, you can put a line through them, you can do a check mark, something, so that at the end of the week, you can look back on these goals and say, this is what I achieved. It may sound silly, but years ago, I had this horrible habit of making my goals on the computer, and every time I would achieve something that day, I would delete it off my to-do list. Well, very quickly, I felt like I wasn't achieving anything, which sounds weird because I was achieving stuff. It's just I had no paper that I could look at and say, oh, look, I've achieved all this stuff, right? And I did that this week. Instead, I would add more stuff to my to-do list. So my to-do list actually fed up. So as I would delete stuff off it, it would just keep filling. And I was adding more to do to the bottom. Don't do that. You'll never
Yeah,
feel like
no,
you're successful.
no, exactly. I think my to-do list that I set up for the beginning of the year, 7 points, and I have accomplished 4 out of 7 so far.
And we're in February.
Right, and that didn't include the Portals anthology. So
See?
I think that this process works well for me, like having the list of to do and the priority order. I find it just it's really helping me be productive and accomplish goals.
Yes, priorities. Prioritize what has to get done. And in that case, I mean, if you have a project like a story that must go because you have to submit it by a certain time, that has to be prioritized over writing about the love child between an elf and a pomegranate. Like, obviously, one story has to come first. Okay? And because you have, see, I have a horrible habit if I don't put my foot down on, what do you call them, timetables and stuff. Then I watch them fly by. It's, ooh, I felt that one go by.
I see. Yep.
I'm just going to say, for me, I need a timetable. I need a way of keeping track of the time. As you know, I have an issue with that. And I need a way of saying, okay, I've achieved this, I achieved this, I achieved this. But again, you know what means success for you, or you need to define what means success for you.
That's a great homework assignment.
Mhm. I have 3 pieces.
Okay. 3 pieces to the homework assignment. Drum
Yes.
roll.
Okay. Define what is going to mean progress for you. Number 2, determine what your habits are, what the situation you require to produce work. 3, start establishing that routine.
I like it. Thank you for that. I should do this. I should do this assignment. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, night, or whatever, and keep on writing.
Yes, and remember, story comes first.